And we're live! Hello, everybody, and welcome to a brand new, all new podcast with me and Papa Superheart. You know,
Trying to hear you.
you know, we've been doing these podcasts for a while, so you'd think we've got the intros down and everything to introducing and whatever, but yeah, it's something new every time. So welcome. And
What'd you say?
well, I was just doing the intro to the podcast.
I don't even know how to spell that.
INTRO.
Okay.
So, with further ado, this week's topic is putting pressure on the United States. And me and Papa Superheart, Papa Superheart came up with the new name, and the official name for the podcast, and I had brought back the idea, which probably came from Papa Superheart in the first place anyway, so.
You're giving me too much credit.
Anyways, let's get into it.
Well, you gotta know history. And I'm not sure that this generation knows very much about history. So we'll kind of start with the facts that we know. That maybe some of the students or older people even have just neglected to either remember, or they don't like the United States well enough to know what the history is of what we've been about. Human beings, as I have said before, are their own worst enemy. They cannot get out of their way. Okay, so there's humans living in the United States, there's humans in Belgium, there's humans in China, there are human beings in Israel, there's human beings in France, and probably the smartest country of all of those is probably Israel, because they're totally surrounded by people that hate them. So what does that have to do with the United States? Well, the United States started as a perceived, I can't say that word enough, perceived democracy. And they sold a bill of goods to that generation, which was in 1776, as they have to this generation, educationally, of the students of 2023. This has never been a democracy. Never been a democracy. Let me repeat that. Never been a democracy. It has been an oligopoly, which people don't even know how to spell, and they can't find it in a dictionary. I haven't looked at a dictionary in the last 5 to 10 years, but it has not been in any dictionary I've ever looked at. So this country, which is the best country that has ever been allowed to take part in humanity, the United States of America, I don't want to forget that, and I don't want people to perceive that I'm not enamored with something else, when I should be enamored to the United States, which I am. But it's not perfect, and it never will be perfect. It doesn't have a chance to be perfect. And so let's kind of look at the history and see what that tells us. So the country started by writing a couple of documents, the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. And the Constitution is probably the best layered. What I mean by layered is it had layers. One paragraph was this, and one paragraph was that, and their sense of trying to write something perfect did not exist. It did not exist. There was no way that they could write, no way that anybody could write a perfect thing, ideas, whatever, creating a country like the United States in 1776. And they made no bones about the fact that they were creating a more, that's very important. They didn't say that they made it perfect. They said they made it more. There was no such thing as a perfect union. And that is because humans can't write that kind of thing. As time went on, as time before the time that went on from 1776, you have had people held as slaves, persecuted, kept down, don't want them to come from way down to do things. Some people are able to do that, and they are to be totally admired because the system is not built to help them. It's built to keep them down and dependent on the government, even though there are welfare checks, there are EDT. I don't even know what this stuff is. I really don't. I just know they're helpful to people who need help. But by continuing to not emphasize education, social interaction, um, getting an education, whether it just be a high school education, you don't have to go to college. I mean, you got billionaires on this planet who
never went to college.
Never went to college. You ain't got to go to college to be successful. It's we have. Let's go back to the downtrodden. I was a downtrodden. I was a college graduate with a very poor job. I was able to get out of that job and go do something that I felt that I could do better. I had more freedom. I worked every day except the weekends and did the best I could every day. And you have tens and millions of the citizens of the United States who do this on an everyday basis. They're not the ones getting the attention. People like George Soros are trying to help, at this point in time, the bad people throw the good people to the wolves. And he's got the money to do that. And because there are so many people looking for something for nothing, let me repeat that, something for nothing. They want you to go out and work 40, 60 hours a week so that they can take part of your money and buy booze with it, or cigarettes with it, or sit on street corners. I refuse to have a lot of interest in people who don't try. You may fail, but you ought to at least try. You ought to be able to say to yourself, I would like to be someone in the upward column, but it's just too much trouble. Life is too much trouble. It's about trouble. It's about this adventure, and then there's the next adventure, and then there's the next adventure. And they're all different. So you have to kind of, you know, feel your way through things to be able to, take on the next adventure, because that's what my life has been. That's what a lot of my friends' lives have been, because just when you think you're starting to move in the right direction, you've been able to buy a little bigger house, you've been able to buy a little newer car, something happens and it puts you into a situation that happened by circumstance. And it may not have happened by circumstance. I don't believe in coincidence, which means I really don't believe in circumstance. So there you have that. So there's been pressure on the United States to make it, because we are perceived to be and may be the richest nation on earth. Well, that could be. So what do we need to do with that wealth? Well, in order for the wealth to continue, you have to be philanthropist to, those that can, to help people that those that can't. But you have to qualify that, because maybe some of the people that can't don't want to anyway. They want to take whatever they can get and go on about their business, and they're the ones that get the publicity. The hardworking people are not going to get publicity from this liberal media that exists in the United States. Journalism is a dead field. I have one of the offspring of my marriage that got a journalism degree and told me within 5 years he couldn't be a journalist. He had to write what the left wing of the newspapers wanted. This pounding of America, this everything's wrong with America, started with losers. And they have started coming way out of the box that they were in, because they have the national media behind them, and they perceive correctly that most of the people that watch the box, that's known as a TV, I'm sorry, and that's where they get their information. So if the only information that they receive are things like the Civil War, where they're taking and demanding that the people that were involved in the Civil War were nasty and nasty and nasty people. But they don't know anything about the Civil War. They just know that that's a bad person. Stonewall Jackson was a bad person. I'm not telling you this because I'm a one-way dude, which you can take me to be a Republican or you can take me to be a Democrat, whatever your way you want to do it. I'm an issues individual. I'm enough to confuse most people, because America needs leadership. It's in bad need of leadership. You may remember in one of the podcasts, I told you there's a zombie in the White House, and that's what's in the White House. Now, if those of you that think that that's not true and you want to come after me, well, come after me. I gotta die sometimes. Come after me. It's pitiful that we are losing the freedom to say what we want. There's a whole faction of people who just can't even open their mouth. I have an extended family that has people like that. Their way is the only way, and anything that you say that is not the way they believe, you become a racist, bigot, pig, uh, doing this. They have defunded, they haven't defunded, they want to defund, I guess, so there's no police department at all. Well, if it becomes the case, I would, if I were uh, a person that wanted to take from other people, I'd go attack the ones that were wanting to defund me. That's who I'd get rid of first, because they're not going to fight for nothing. They're not going to fight for anything. You have to fight to keep an oligopoly working. You can't have people like you can't have people. An oligopoly is special interest groups. They definitely run the show. Special interest groups. People like George Soros. People like the Cohen brothers. I don't believe the Cohen brothers are with us anymore, but the Cohen brothers. So I have taken a Democrat and a Republican. And it doesn't matter what they are. It only matters that they have decided that they're going to use their money to try to start a revolution. Well, they've been pretty successful at that, because, as I've said to you before, the judicial system is the hole that the forefathers left. They left the hole in the judicial system. And they did that because they actually probably didn't know what to do with it in that damn time. Because in that damn time, if somebody robbed a bank or somebody killed somebody, they hung them. And that's what we need today. Oh, I sound like a radical, don't I? But you see, if those of you in the audience out there have a member of your family stabbed 70 times and the jury gives them life in prison, well, that doesn't recover your loved one, but it allows this animal to be able to sustain his life and be paid for it from the standpoint that you, the victim, are buying him 3 meals a day. So basically what they ought to do with somebody like that is stab him 70 times. And, people think that's radical. They think I'm a nut. Well, they can think what they want. I've known I was a nut since I was about 7 years old. But violence is not the way that I see that the left is going to win. I don't see the right winning through violence, because there's going to be some kind of revolt. I don't know when it's going to take place, but it's going to have to take place pretty soon, or this country is not going to exist. It's going to speak Chinese. I don't think the Russians are big players anymore, because they're having enough trouble trying to defeat the Ukrainian country, which doesn't even have as big of an army as the Russians do. And I think Putin has kind of messed up the situation. And that's good. we're glad that he has messed it up. He doesn't deserve to have a platform. He's a dictator. He's mean, and he's only out for himself. And he's probably accrued billions and billions and billions of dollars, keeping his fellow countrymen as dependent on the government as can be. So let's switch back to America now. What America is up against is its own citizens, and that's what it was always going to be up against. Because the people that want to conquer, that's a hard word. I mean, that's a word you may not believe is what's going on, but that's what's going on. Are mean. They have no respect for anything. They want what you've got. Look at the number of squatters that the courts are actually letting the squatter win. So you got a house and you take a trip for 3 months. You go somewhere, you go to Australia, you go to Europe, and you tool around. And 3 months later, you come home and you got a family of squatters. And so the judicial system is weak enough at this point to always, mostly, I won't say always, but almost mostly, you see the victim is now the squatter because he hadn't got a place to live. So he took your house to live in, and that means nothing. That means nothing that you own this house, you paid for the house, you took a 3-month vacation, and this not working, not interested in work, not interested in education, squats in your house. How do you get away with that? I don't understand that. I don't want your house. Now, that's terrible. I don't want your house, and this guy wants your house, and we're citizens of the same country. That's kind of confusing. So you younger people up into your 40s, you don't realize what they're trying to do. They're trying to keep the poor, and they're trying to take the middle class and make it poor, and therefore you're going to then have to depend on the government for you to be able to get a drink of water. And you better start thinking about that, and you better start worrying about that, because every time you turn around, you've got the government. Oh, the government. Now that's a whole different subject. The government is the people. The government is not the government. The government is the people. And the people need to be blamed for what they're allowing to be done. And there's no way the people can know what's been done because it's a behind-the-scene government. They could look, let's take a Democratic state, okay? And they're winning big. They're winning big. Let's take Minnesota. The Democrats up there, just like the Republicans in Ohio, could just make voting boxes disappear. Just disappear. You've got to quit messing with the social media, which is a lying sack of you know what. You all of you people out there who need to get their information only from social media are being taken advantage of. It shows that, to me, it shows that there's a lack of education. I don't care if you got a PhD. Most of the facts that are given on the social media about politics, about these poor, downtrodden people, is BS. It's just totally BS. But to try to get a phone away from a phone person is impossible. It's impossible. It's the worst thing that has ever happened to mankind is all of this technology, and just wait till the artificial intelligence things, the robots, the this, the that, come into play, because they don't need humans. They have no use for humans. And if they can do the work of 25 people, and you're one of the 25 people in the company, you're out of a job. So what are you going to do? So you go apply to another company. Well, they're just starting their AI program. They don't need you. So now you're in danger of losing your house, losing your car, and bankruptcy at that point is not going to help you. Bankruptcy is one of the things that really helped me get my life turned around. But you won't be able to get that because everybody will be bankrupt. That's what the government would, I believe, like to see happen. Is everybody would be there. Well, the government. The government. Now that's an interesting word. The government. The government is the people, and yet that's not perceived to be the government because the people are very lazy about voting. They should have turned the United States into you can vote for a month, like they do in Africa. That's what they do in Africa. You have a month to vote, and their rate of voting percentage is way higher than the United States. One day is a joke. It's been a joke since I was old enough to understand politics, which was about 6 years old. It's a joke. It's a total joke. And with that means that you're always going to have a minority government. Either the Republicans are going to be in charge of the minority government or the Democrats are going to be in charge of the minority government. Well, there's a party in this country that's about to show a lot of people that they are more dangerous than the Nazi Party. And the reason that is because they live in a freer society. And they can use the free society a lot easier than they can use something else. All you have to do is attack the ballot boxes. The enemies of this nation, and this nation is so far from being perfect that I tried to leave the country myself. I couldn't do it because I couldn't get a sponsor to give me a job. But I tried that long ago in the 70s. I didn't wait around. I thought the United States was in big trouble at that point. So I didn't wait around to see if I could leave. I tried to leave. So people like in Hollywood, they can go live wherever they want. They got the money to do whatever they want. You don't. Most of you don't. I don't. So you're a captive slave. That's what you are. You're a captive slave that is under the category of the government has you by every bone that you own, every muscle that you have, because that's the way they want it. I don't know how many trillions of dollars in debt. So when there is no money in the banks to loan money, which that's coming, there's more big banks going to fold. The economy is not, I mean, you're being told that the economy is terrific. Well, I don't think it's terrific at all. I started telling people last March that by October, November, the retail sales of goods was going to go into the crap because people don't have any money now. So you see, they've squeezed this situation, even though they have raised the pay scale from, let's say, $9, $10 to $14 or $15. But gas, not in Georgia, where our governor has been smart enough to uh, take the tax off, the state tax off for 3 months. Uh, everything has risen in price. An avocado, which you used to could buy for 60 cents, costs $1.10 or $1.20. The box of Honey Nut Cheerios or Frosted Flakes, which are, I think, two of the most popular cereals, which you used to could buy for $3 a box, is $5.99. So the average family is going to have so much pressure put on it, but it's not going to be able to go get any money because the banks ain't got any money. They don't have any money. They only have the money that they can lend. That's what a bank is. The bank uses John Smith's money to loan it to Bob Yarrington, and then Bob Yarrington's money is used to take care of Sam Smith. And when they run out of money, which they're going to do, because they're going to have fewer and fewer deposits, the bank industry is going to collapse, and then you're going to have nothing. And you may think that I'm full of bull. I may be full of bull. But you see, if I'm wrong, I guarantee you that it ain't the first time. And I'll guarantee you in the next hour, I'll make another one. And I'm not scared to make mistakes. It keeps you humble. And I'm not scared to answer a question. And if the answer is wrong, so what? So what? So kill me over it. Now, how stupid is that? You kill me because I have a difference of opinion? Well, a lot of that's going on. A lot of that's going on. We have people that hate. They're mean. They can't find anything good about anything that's going on. 70 degrees is not hot enough. 87 degrees is too hot. 32 is too cold. Well, I ain't going to argue that. But the point is when you have mean people who are the people getting the eyes and ears and dominance, who are communists for the most part. And you think I'm a right wing. Yeah, I'm not a right wing. I'm pro-choice. I'm for Medicare for all. You got the wrong dude. I'm just using the information that I see to try to tell you the truth. And I don't know the truth. How about that? I don't have anywhere near the knowledge of knowing the truth. I just see what I think, watch what I know, interact with people. I don't get my information from the TV. My wife and myself have put in a new cable system, and we don't like it, and so we're watching lots of Hallmark movies. So, and I hate to tell you, I don't put it on Fox News, CNN. I don't do any of that anymore. I can't do anything about the things that the media wants to cover. They're not going to cover myself at 78 talking to a grandmother who is a black woman who's 75, and we're talking about our grandchildren, and we got the same problems with our grandchildren, and we're two different color things, but we got the same issues with grandchildren. So if that's the case, we can get on TV. If we were talking about our grandchildren and making nothing but compliments about them, we couldn't get on TV. They don't want to talk to people who succeed. They want to make everybody fail. That has become the mantra in this country. That's why I say to you, people are getting mean. It's like they don't want the country to succeed. Well, I can tell you partly why that's happened. You've got a war going on in the Middle East. The Jewish community is not out there trying to, uh, you know, bring 4 million people to a rally. They, you know, and how did all these pro-Palestinian people get into our country? Because we opened the door for anybody. Come on in. We'll give you roast beef for supper. In fact, we'll put you up somewhere and give you 3 meals a day. And these people hate you, and you don't know that because you're too stupid to know that. And that's not the average citizen. That's what the government is doing. That's what the leadership is doing. And it really has been going on for years. For years. And y'all better, and I'm talking about the younger people, y'all better understand this, because the worst thing there's 2 things that have created all this problem. One is they did away with the draft. That should never have happened. That should never have happened. Let me repeat that. That should never have been allowed. So on one side, you've got the liberals, you see, and that's what it means, liberal. We're not going to punish a guy for murdering somebody. We're going to make sure that we find something wrong with the law, and we're going to let him out, and next Tuesday he's going to kill somebody else. And we're going to let him out again, and then he's going to go kill somebody else. There's a lot of deaths that have happened in the last 10 years due to the unwillingness of the courts and the juries to do what is right. That's what I believe. There's too many people being not punished for their own individual actions, which they're not even interested in taking responsibility for. So we've lost the responsibility aspect. We've lost the accountability verb. We've lost, well, I may not think of the third thing I was thinking of. We've lost the ability to interact with each other. We're not, it's like God's put a mouth on you, but I don't really want to use it because I'm scared if what I say, somebody will come after me. Well, that's usually the left that wants to shut off free speech. You know, does the right like people from the left to, you know, get to say what they get to say? Does the left like the right getting to say what they like to say? The media has answered that question. Ann Coulter cannot speak at the same university that Dr. West can speak at. She's not, she doesn't talk our talk, so she can't do that. So free speech has already been attacked. It's hard to, I'll give you some stories about that. There have been people who work, who get into conversations with people that they work with at wherever they work. Okay. And the right wing guy, espouses, whatever they espouse. And the next thing you know, somebody from the left has made a phone call to his boss to get him fired. He shouldn't be allowed to say that. And if you don't think that's not going on, you're wrong. You're just flat wrong. You need to find out for yourself what is really going on. And if you don't, then whatever happens to you should happen to you. If you are just going to let people walk all over you, which the mean people will do, you're just in their way. And they get more publicity than you do. They can go burn down parts of cities, and that's good. And then there are organizations on both sides who, when they attack something, the people that they hurt the most are the people they're trying to get attention to from the standpoint of these people need help. But that's the stores that they broke into, is the people that need help. So that's kind of contradictory, wouldn't you think? So we as humans can mess up the cutting of a tomato. It's sad. It's sad. And it's sad because this country has always been a giver. And now they're letting a lot of the population be takers at the expense of the givers. And if the givers don't get mad, they're not going to have anywhere to go. Because most givers are not able to just pack up and leave and go somewhere. And right now, there are very few places you can go. Very few places you can go. And, somebody can come after me for what I've said that they don't like. Well, I just hope if they do, that whatever way they kill me, they get killed by being found guilty. I do not want somebody who does harm to me get to live off my money that my wife inherits at my expense, when all you need to do is take them out in a field and do to them, shoot them 6 times if that's what they did to me. Well, you got to get mean. You got mean people out there. You got to learn how to be mean back at them. You can't just let them take over the situation. You got to get mean yourself. I don't like to be mean, but I'll tell you what would happen. You ready? Let's say I got elected president of the United States. Let's say that the Iranians, which they're doing now, are just a pain in the butt, and they have no they have no feelings for humanity. They just don't. Okay. Well, I would let the population know as I was running for office, which would either help bury me or help me get elected, whatever. And I'm not running for office. But I'm not a gun owner, but I believe in the NRA. I would become a member of the NRA just to support the NRA. So here I am. I don't own a gun. I'm not one of the mean people. But my message would be quite clear. I don't want to cock my gun. I really don't want you to put me in the position of cocking my gun. I want you to sit down at a table. I want you. Both sides have to win in a negotiation. You can't negotiate with one side getting it all. And that's gone on a long time. But in this day and time, it can't go that way. You have to work out a negotiated uh, win-win situation. So if I've cocked my gun on you, I'm gonna fire it, and just count on it. I don't want to cock my gun. I don't even want to use a gun. I'd rather use my mouth. But that's where we are. We don't have a leader that'll pull the trigger. I don't know that many countries do have a leader except for Israel. Netanyahu, to me, right now, is one of the few leaders that we have in the world. But you have to look at India and places like that. They got way more people. Uh, and they don't seem to be on the verge of what we're on the verge of. And the reason that is they're not thought of as an easy. I'm trying to think of the word here. Where somebody takes advantage of the other person. Mark, something like that. They mark this person as being soft and scared. Well, there's going to be a lot of soft and scared people coming up in the next, I don't know how many years, but it's already started. And that's where we are. How much time we got left?
Well, we're at 47 minutes.
47 minutes?
Yep.
I've been talking for 47 minutes?
Yep.
Well, I would say it's somebody else's turn.
It's 4:47.
Okay, so I'll be Roger Finkelstein.
Oh, you're giving me the stage.
No, I'll just be somebody else.
Oh.
So, they're coming to America. There is no country on this planet that has, as freely as this country, allowed all of this immigration. So let's talk about immigration for a minute. A person like myself, who is a second generation American, cannot have anything against immigration, and I don't. I wouldn't be here if my grandfather was allowed to come here the right way. And then he created my mother, who brought me here. So I'm just a second generation American. And I'd like to have my kids, who are the third generation, and my grandchildren, who are the fourth generation, be able to have some kind of life where if they're productive, they can earn something for their productivity. I'm not in the business of wanting I'm not in the business that the government is in, where they want everybody to fail. And I'll give you an example of that. Walmart started opening their stores. I'm not going to be sure of this. The 60s or 70s. If I had to guess, I'd say the 70s. But I don't really remember. At that time, they wanted to emulate Walmart. Businesses wanted to emulate Walmart. How are they doing this? How are they getting all these goods that they buy to the 900 stores that they have through the Southeast, because that's where they started? How are they able to do this? This is a wonderful way to do business. Let's find out from them. Let's have them have seminars and teach us how to have a business that we can make more successful, because they can't do all the business, and I can't do all the business with my 900 stores. but I don't know what they know, so I need to go learn something. Today, oh, Walmart can't go here. Walmart's doing this. Walmart's taking jobs. Walmart's doing this. Walmart's doing that. Walmart's got to go. We've gone from praising success to where we don't want success. And that's been in a short period of time, 50 years. So if at the rate that we're going to try to destroy ourselves, um, we got maybe 100 years, except we ain't got 100 years. We may not have 100 days. And you need to get scared. You need to get mean. You've got to out mean the meanies. And if you're not willing to out mean the meanies, you're gonna lose. I'm 78 years old. I can tell you right now that I would go to Israel and fight. Except not gonna take me. I'm 78 years old, so I'm not. I wouldn't be taken. And I would go. We never should have been in Vietnam. We never should have been in Afghanistan. Um, I'm just bringing this into the conversation to show you how our government has handled things. They went to Vietnam. They lost 50-something thousand kids. I was one of those kids. I couldn't get in the service. I tried, but I couldn't get in the service. Couldn't do it. So 50,000 people my age were lost for what? For what? I'm still trying to figure out for what. Those countries have had so many different tribes that have never been able to get along. How are they going to send white men over there? I mean, white men get blamed for everything. So let's just blame them for this whole war. There were plenty of young black men who didn't come back here either. And they were treated just like the white kids. They were booed, they were hissed, they were this, they were that, because they lost. They lost. They lost because they weren't supported. And it was their fault that they lost. Oh, how could it be their fault? They were out there doing what they were supposed to do with what they were given to supposed to do. In the meantime, their leaders were selling them out. So how are they going to win? Okay, let's bounce to Afghanistan 40 years later, 30 years later, whatever. So it is known that Afghanistan in the history, which is thousands of years old, that they've always had 40, 50, I don't know, 400. I don't quite know what the numbers are. Tribes, different tribes. They couldn't live together. They just could not live together. They were always at war. So we sent a bunch of white men over there to solve a 1,000-year-old problem. Doesn't make any sense. Young black men, doesn't make any sense. Young Mexican men, doesn't make any sense. Why were these people just sent to their death by a government that I'm supposed to bow down to? Well, they do that in Russia. They do that in China. China's got, I don't know, 4 billion people. I wouldn't know. You couldn't run a place like that except with communism. That's the only thing I know that capitalism wouldn't work. Let's see, out of the 4 billion people that they have, there might be 100,000 people who were in charge. There might be 1 million people that were in charge. 1 million people out of 8 billion. Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. So what you do is you let a country like China, they have to take care of their people. Well, what are they trying to do? Well, they're trying to destroy America without having to use any of their soldiers. That's what they're trying to do.
And they've come up with the smartest plan yet because they figure with all the with how stupid most American citizens are, they'll just destroy themselves.
Well, they figured out that Americans are stupid enough to get their information from a little piece of crap that's about this big that they can't. Oh, it's just right here, and they can't live without it. People that have this can't live without it. And you're one of them. I mean, you're one of them. I'm one of them. I have a phone. I play games on it. Okay, but I bought one of the goddamn things, didn't I?
Yeah.
Okay, so there you have it. Okay, there you have it. The fascination with this. Then a couple of years ago, I was told that TikTok, which I don't even know what that is. I don't even know what that is, for God's sakes. I just know the name. Was something that the Chinese communist country was going to use
To destroy America.
to destroy America.
And
they're doing a good job.
they're doing a great job of destroying everybody.
So
that
if it's
uses
wrong
TikTok.
for me as a citizen of the country to say stuff like this, which some of it's true, some of it's false. I'm just a human. I not only don't know everything, I don't want to know everything. Please, I don't want to do that. Too much for a brain. It's too much for my brain. It's probably too much for anybody's brain. But the other people with brains are not talking. So I guess I'll have to take it. My brain can't do all of it. It just can't. I have Parkinson's. Every day I get 20 emails from Parkinson's. I don't have time to read 20 posts from the organization that I need the most help from. And it's the only thing that I really should have on my email is information from Parkinson's. I can't read all the stuff they send me. I don't have enough time in the day. So how do other people do it? I don't know. But I sure can't. So I just wanted to come on today to try, since this is our last podcast
of the year,
to just maybe help with the thinking.
we have a question. Grandpapa, do you feel like the technology nowadays has changed for the better or for the worse?
Oh, definitely for worse. The only good thing that I see from the technology is what they're able to do with the medical situations that they find. They've got a heart attack victim in a town of 1,000 people, and the one doctor that's there can get on the phone with Mayo Clinic or somebody in Macon, Georgia, if that's who they're close to, Savannah, Georgia, and they can get some, the help of the little guy, the help in the little town can get some help from the big town, and they can save this guy's life out there. One life saved is it's priceless. I wouldn't even know how to tell you how priceless it would be to be able to do something like that for another human being. But other than the medical stuff, I don't see one good thing. Now that's just me, that this technology has created. It's created confusion. It's created lies. It's created crap. It's created this crap. It's created that crap. There are people can't live without being on the phone. How do you live like that? And they probably can't carry on a conversation with anybody. They're probably scared to death to get out of their room. And I know damn well if they went to Walmart,
You're absolutely right about that.
I mean, I can't go down that aisle. I'm scared to death. There may be 4 people down on that aisle. I can't talk to 4 people. Lord have mercy. I better go back home. And see, that solves a lot. Going back home. I don't know how some people eat. How do you eat when you're scared to leave your room? And this is what I want to answer this person's question in a little different way. When I was in my 50s, they started putting computers into play at this place or that place, in businesses. And every time they now think about this. Every time they put one of these things online, they didn't need 50 employees anymore because this piece of machinery could do the intelligence of the writing of the papers, of the writing of this, or the accumulation of that. That computer could do all that for them. They didn't need me. So it put people out of work. And it wasn't the ability for these people who had been laid off to have a job from their house at that time because they weren't doing that. At that time, you had to be at your office, and you had to be there whatever time you had to be there. There was none of this working from home stuff where you could sit around in your pajamas. I don't have any problem with you sitting around in your pajamas as long as you do what you're supposed to do. But in the meantime, there are 50 people that are out of a job. And that just made it worse and worse and worse because that's how our welfare rolls started expanding. And these AIs, I guess that's called artificial intelligence. Okay, well, here's what's happening with that. Companies like Walmart, Publix, Kroger, Kohl's, Target, on and on and on. They have taken and let's see, they had 25 cash registers with 25 people behind each of the cash registers, and they took 12 of the cashiers away. So now 12 people didn't have a job, and they made the AI the way to check out of the store. And what they're finding is that that's not the great idea that they thought it was. So a lot of these businesses you're going to see are going to start putting back their humans. And that's what AI is going to do. It's going to take lots of jobs from lots of people. And that's why the government's going to end up being in charge of everything because nobody working. Because they don't need them. They don't need humans. So it's going to get worse and worse. Now, I hope I'm wrong. I like to be wrong. It keeps you humble. So that's my take. Thank you for the question. Any more questions?
I think that's about all we have.
Well, I'm glad one person was smart enough to figure out to ask a question. So there you are. That's my ramblings for today.
And I guess for the end of this year.
Well, that I don't think is right, but you're in charge.
Well, we will.
I think that people are starving for the truth, and I'm trying to tell the truth.
Oh yeah, I agree.
I'm not on anybody's side, but I'm on the side of the issue that I'm on. I do not have the right to tell somebody they can't do that, like my Republican friends. Okay, they don't understand pro-choice. It's just mind-boggling to me. Okay, because I'm pro-choice, and they go, "How can you be pro-choice?" I don't know. I have 5 kids. Well, then how can you be pro-choice? You got 5 kids. I said it's real easy to be pro-choice. I don't have the right to come over to your house and tell you what, since it's my idea that you shouldn't have an abortion, okay, to tell you that you can't have an abortion. And I've been told something that has even humbled me anymore. I don't think it's a man's issue.
It's not.
Well, your grandmother disagrees with that.
I mean,
Okay? And
no
she's a
way.
woman. Okay? Last time I checked, she was a woman.
She's a woman.
So you see, and that's a touchy subject in this country. But you see, that's why we're going wrong. We're more worried about, is it getting too hot in here? What about the abortion issue? What about the judicial system, social justice? And those are not important issues when your country's is slowly being taken over by communism. But this is the only country in the world uh, that I believe, when I started reading about communism and capitalism and other forms of ism, I've always believed this was the only country communism could work in, because it doesn't have too many people, and they're going to get just as much control as Putin or Mr. Z, whatever his name is, in China. And here's something to think about. I don't care what city you live in, any of you that are listening to this. You could live in a rural town, you can live in a big city. So the little town goes to the county for money, and the county gives the little town money. So now the big town, the town is owned by the state, or the city is owned by the county. All right, so now the county goes to the state and needs some help from the state. So now the state government owns the city government because they've loaned them money. It's all about money. So when the state goes, the state of Illinois, the state of Maine, it doesn't matter. When the state goes to the federal government for help, the federal government owns it. It's always about the money. Always about the money. No, that's the one thing that hadn't changed on this planet. It's all about the money. All about the money. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it. I have no idea how much of it's false. I don't have any idea how much it's true. But I have told you what I feel, and that's all I can do. You want to say good night, Grayson?
Well,
Now you want this to be the last podcast, so you got to say good night, Gracie, sometime.
Well, for the final podcast of the year.
Well, I'm not happy with that.
I know.
I think I'm gonna go get the National Guard to you, have them surround you with their guns, and see if you'll give me one more, 2 more. I don't know how many podcasts.
Next year. But until then, good night, Gracie.